Assalamu alaikum. This is part 1 of my today's video. Hello students, how are you all? Today we will read pages 17-18 of chapter 3. Before starting reading, I would like to give you a quick recap of pages 15 and 16. In those pages, we read that after David's mother, Clara's death, Peggy was dismissed from her job and David started living with Mr. Murdstone and Miss Murdstone without his mother and Peggy. Mr. Murdstone told David to earn for himself and he was sent to a factory to do a job. Now I'm going to read page number 17, first paragraph. That have jobs there, and he suggests that you could be one of them. So you are now going to London, Davy, with Mr. Quinion, to begin looking after yourself in the world. Murdstone and Grinby's. Murdstone and Grinby's was by the river. It was a strange old building just at the edge of the water when the tide was in, and on the mud when the tide was out. I remember clearly its rotting floors and stairs, and the dirt, and the squeaking and scratching of old grey rats. The place was almost a ruin. My job was to examine empty bottles by holding them up to the light. Those with faults could not be used again. The others had to be washed. When there were no empty bottles to examine, there was always plenty of other work to be done. There were corks to be put in the full bottles or finished bottles to be packed. This was my work and the work of two or three other boys. All my hopes of growing up to be an educated and respectable gentleman were destroyed. I felt ashamed of my situation. Second paragraph on page number 17. The Micawbers. At 12:30 on the first day, Mr. Quinion knocked on the window of his office and signaled to me to go in, which I did. Inside was a rather fat, middle-aged person in a brown coat and black trousers and shoes. His large and shining head was as hairless as an egg, and his face was very large. His clothes were old and shapeless. I'm going to explain first and second paragraphs of page number 17. Mr. Murdstone decided to send David to London to do work in a factory of his friend Mr. Quinion. The name of the factory or business was Murdstone and Grinby's. It was an old building by the river. David didn't like the place because it was a dirty factory with rotten floors. David had to check empty bottles, and there were many tasks for him to do. Soon he became fed up of all of this. He thought that he couldn't fulfill his dreams to be an educated and respectable person. He was feeling ashamed of his life. Now, a new character enters in the story. That is Mr. Micawber. He was a fat man without hair. He was wearing old, shapeless clothes.